sense of this.
Yeah.
Yes, and you coming here and helping us, converse on issues that have to touch on the nation is very important. Thank you so much for making time again.
Karibu, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me start with your pick on when the current state of the nation, when you just look at the political events that are unfolding.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
It is an interesting scenario we have in the country, because we've just seen reorganization of cabinet to what now looks like the face of Kenya.
Okay.
We have members of cabinet almost balanced and drawn from nearly all areas of Kenya, which is a good thing.
Does that solve the issue of regional balancing and the issue of maybe people, have been having with when it comes to complaints around one or two tribes being seen occupying most cabinet positions? Will that now solve that particular issue?
It has tried to do so, because for once, we normally say, while it is good to judge politicians in terms of what they do, especially matters like constitution of the cabinet, it is also good to look at the political or the population numbers of tribes. Like the Mount Kenya tribes have almost 36% of the population of Kenya. So giving them up to nearly 40% of the cabinet from one region would be almost okay if we were to stick to their numbers also. Again, if you look at the numbers they gave the president, 47% of all the votes the president got is as a result of the support from one region.
You seem to be agreeing with one rhetoric that has
those are stock realities that people must learn to live with. Right?
So
that politicians...
Do we get representation vis-a-vis the kind of what we brought on the table?
Two things will always happen. Yeah. Politicians will always tend to reward their support bases, because it is, again, a political folly not to reward those who made you who you are. But at the same time, they seek also to balance between rewarding the political basis and coming up with a cabinet that also is a reflection of the face of Kenya. If the Mount Kenya tribes, as I've said, has the numbers of about 36% of the population, what is wrong with them having 36% representation from the cabinet? Right? What is wrong with them having 36% representation in the civil service? And again, what is wrong with them having that representation, if at all they gave bigger support to form the government?
If we go with that particular analogy, then what will become of other communities that do not have a huge population? Because then it will be like your contribution here is 0.01%.
The law compels whoever is forming the cabinet again to make it have a reflection of the face of Kenya. And if there is a feeling among any member, among any citizen, that this is not achieved, then the courts of law is the arbiter of the last resort, and you can go there to seek redress on such issues.
Okay.
Now, what the president has done, he's tried to balance between the two, the support basis, the population numbers, as well, again, regional balance. For once, we have the first woman from Turkana being nominated to the cabinet.
Okay.
We have also seen, in the art of balancing, another first lady being nominated
I wanted to ask you that.
AG.
I wanted to ask you that because we are getting into that.
Yes.
And this is the thing. The People Daily, and across all the newspapers that we've been able to cover today, this is one of the major stories that is making headlines. So this is Dorcas Oduor. So why Ruto picked Oduor for AG? By settling on women to fill vacancies in his cabinet, President appeared to address concerns over the 2/3 gender rule. Let me start with your thoughts on just the overall pick of Oduor and also the reconstitution of this particular cabinet to this particular extent. You see, we have it is a school there, and also Dorcas Oduor, who are the latest entries when it comes to nominees, when it comes to filling these particular positions in his cabinet. So when this particular pick, let me start with that.
I find the two ladies very well qualified to handle the duties of the office to which they've been nominated. And I also find it as a very good gesture from the president to give us the first lady Attorney General.
Okay.
We've had, she would be the 9th Attorney General so far, and the 4th under the new constitution. So it's a very good thing for the president to do, even to boost the morale of women in politics and administration. He's also tried very much to make sure that his cabinet is well balanced in terms of gender by bringing in quite a number of ladies. And with what I like is that the ladies who've been brought on board are very well qualified.
Okay.
They haven't been picked on political inclinations, but purely on meritocracy.
On meritocracy.
Yes.
And that was my next point. This particular cabinet that we've seen, would you say quite a number of the members of the nominees in this particular cabinet this particular time round are qualified for the dockets they've been nominated to
In fact, I would put it this way, that all of them are very well qualified. Those who may not have what we may want to look at in terms of paper qualifications and experience in administration have it compensated by their political experience, which is also very important in these dockets, because remember that a CS, other than being like the head of the ministry, has a team of very capable people working under him. There is a PS who is the accounting officer of the ministry. There are the undersecretaries who head directorates and who carry the institution memory. And so the CS does not serve alone. And again, the CS has 2 advisors as per the new directive by the president.
Okay.
So the CS himself or herself doesn't need to have the qualifications per se to handle this particular docket they are given, but again they must have the academic qualification to understand the intricacies of the ministry. And now if they combine that with the political experience that would help them even communicate favorably and conveniently with the people, because it is a political, much as it is an administrative position, it is also purely political.
Okay.
So a mixture that gives you good politicians and good technocrats to head your cabinet is a good one.
Okay.
As opposed to what we had before, where people had been picked purely on political loyalty, regardless of whether they have the qualifications either politically or otherwise. We have seen a new face of cabinet that brings on board people who have been tried and tested before and have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that they can work. People like Oparanya.
Yeah.
Remember, Oparanya was the Minister for Planning for the Kibaki's government and did very well. We have people like Joho, who've served before as an assistant minister. I think, and
so you see,
we have
in
people
terms
like
of qualifications,
Bandi,
most of them are actually qualified.
very good qualifications, both academically and politically.
Okay, I want to bring in Geoffrey Ruku. Thank you so much, sir, for making time for this conversation this morning.
Thank you.
Let me pick your mind on this particular pick. These are the latest entrants when it comes to reconstituting this particular cabinet. The names, of course, have been submitted to the National Assembly for vetting. The process is supposed to be starting tomorrow all the way to the to Sunday. I believe that's the 6th of August. What do you make of the latest picks and just the entire nominees when it comes to cabinet?
The president has done his a bit of submitting the nominees to the cabinet, and the committee on vetting must do its bit, and this must be submitted to the House, and the members of Parliament to do their bit. I think it will not be as the past, you know. Members of Parliament have seen quite a lot of happenings in the past 1 month or so. And we will go through the nominees one by one in a very serious way, combing the qualification, whether it is technical, the integrity of each and every nominee, to see whether they fit to hold those public offices.
Okay, those are something, an article I read some time back, and it was that the process this particular time is going to be very rigorous in terms of just making sure that we get the right people on these particular jobs, and also not just when it comes to rubber stamping, because, you know, in most cases, Parliament has been accused of just rubber stamping when it comes to some of these nominees. We are expecting a different process, isn't it?
Yes, it will be a totally different process this time around, because actually these nominees present an opportunity to the Parliament, because it is Parliament which will be vetted by the public. Okay. Whether we will rise to occasion to do our job diligently. But I can assure you, we'll look at the report which will be tabled by the vetting committee, which is chaired by the Speaker of the National Assembly, and we'll go one by one, trying to see whether that particular nominee fit to be a cabinet secretary. We will do our bit. Remember, in the past, we impeached Medical Inturi as the CS Agriculture. In the plenary, the House impeached Medical Inturi. And I think the House was vindicated. He has not been brought back as a CS. Therefore, there is a huge paradigm shift the way Parliament or National Assembly will be operating moving forward. Because it is me, it is the other one who the houses have been touched, the offices have been touched. It's not any other person. It's not even a cabinet secretary. Yeah. Number two, it's also important to note that Kenya Kwanza administration has given in 20% of government to the ODM. It is the cabinet secretaries and the executive who has brought Kenya Kwanza administration to that point. And therefore, we cannot allow to continue ceding our ground again and again. If we get incompetent cabinet secretaries who cannot go out there and say what the government is doing, what the president is doing. We know the president has overworked himself. But unfortunately, not much has been told as far as what the president has been doing, the programs he has been
so there's been lack of proper communication in terms of just communicating.
There has been a lot of misinformation and disinformation. And the CSAs have been in their offices saying a lot of, not saying what they are doing within their docket. We, Kenya Kwanza members of parliament, a few of us trying to come out and say what the president has achieved. But in the process, a lot of misinformation and disinformation came in place. So we have lost 20% of the government. We cannot allow again to lose another 10% or that percent. This was not our initial game plan when we were forming this government.
Do you believe the latest developments take you a little bit of a step back in terms of what the Kenya Kwanza government had actually aligned as far as the development agenda was concerned and what they want, what you call the plan? With what has happened, does it take you back or just...
The development plan in terms of, for instance, what Kenya Kwanza has achieved or the president has achieved in terms of bringing the commodity prices down. Remember, Unga price was quite high when he was taking over the administration. He managed to stabilize that. The fuel prices, he managed to stabilize that. The Dora versus Kenya Shere, he managed to stabilize. A lot of economic stability has been achieved so far, and that to be achieved is serious. A lot of serious work which has been done in closed door. So the question is, how come that you have not been able to communicate this effectively to the public? Is omission? of a number of senior government officials talking at loggerhead with each other. I think we will be very firm, especially members who are Kenya Kwanza aligned. We will be very firm when it comes to vetting of these nominees next week.
Okay, let me bring you.
And that's why we are telling the vetting committee, please, Mr. Speaker, do a good job.
Okay.
Because we don't want to embarrass anybody when they come to the floor of the house.
Okay. Kimani, this is the thing. Geoffrey mentions something to do with in terms of communication when it comes to government projects and what they've been able to achieve. Is it a problem with communication, but why the people that just don't feel that? Do they need to communicate that, or the people need to feel the changes happening?
It should be a combination of the two. The people who had these dockets must not only communicate to the people, but also work for the people. You know, you can hire people with the gift of the gab. Very good at talking, very good at words, but their deeds fall short of what they've been appointed to do.
Okay.
So what we should see going forward should be a correction of what has been happening, as the Honorable MP is describing, where we had the situation of the cabinet that was members who were at loggerheads with each other, each trying to do the roles of the other.
Okay.
And coming out like, you used to wonder, were these people trained as to what they are supposed to do and to communicate to us?
Okay.
So we hope that will clearly fizzle out.
Okay.
And that what I like in the new cabinet is the people who've been brought on board. There are people who have demonstrated ability not only to communicate, but also to perform.
Okay. Now, this is the thing. Petitioner has moved to court. Why we want Joho's selection for cabinet rejected. At least 4 petitions have been filed in Parliament seeking to have cabinet nominee Ali Hassan Joho. Of course, this is a story on page 3 of the People Daily. At least 4 petitions have been filed in Parliament seeking to have cabinet nominee Ali Hassan Joho disqualified for lack of proper academic qualifications. In one petition, Lawyer Charles Okari has requested information regarding the academic qualifications of Joho, the nominee for Cabinet as Secretary of Mining and the Blue Economy. Yeah. Now, this is the thing. Already started, getting hindrances as far as this particular process is concerned. You say most of the people that have been put on the table you agree with, but there's a petitioner in court, 4 petitioners actually in court that say we don't agree with this particular pick. Vivian Cha, thank you so much for making time.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. You just came in as we are having a conversation around the cabinet pick, and I want to give you 30 seconds to respond to the latest pick before we head into this particular story on why they want Joho rejected. And why I want to ask you this is because, of course, it is, you're playing gender card here, no offense. And we are seeing the possibility of having the first woman AG in the country, and of course, there's also British School who's been actually, nominated to be cabinet secretary, and comes all the way from Turkana. Now, when it comes to issues to do with the 2/3 gender rule, we are not yet there in this particular cabinet. We might be lacking by a closer, very short margin, but there's a little bit of an effort. What's your overall assessment of this?
I mean, I would have wanted to see more women. I would have wanted to see more diverse representation in terms of age demographic, especially just because of how these protests were fueled mainly by, Gen Zs and millennials. I would have wanted to see a lot more of that. So I'm a little disappointed. When we say the face of Kenya, it's not just regional balance, although regional balance is important, but also just taking into account, all the different views and voices. And especially because the dismissal of the previous cabinet was a result of the protests, it would have been nice to have voices of like a younger generation in the cabinet, which I think there's one person. Yeah. There's one person who's 32. Like 32, I think. But I don't know. It would just, out of 22, surely you could do like 3,
Yeah.
you know, or even 4.
Okay.
So I think that would be my only disappointment.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing I would want to see, even with just government appointments going forward, is just having a better representation of women. Because usually you notice even when they take like these photos, it's usually just men, middle-aged, like all of them.
And now a little bit of a comment on someone moving to court to reject the nomination of Ali Hassan Joho.
I think it's their democratic right to challenge anything within the governance space that they feel doesn't sit well with them. But I don't think it goes against, I don't think constitutionally there's anything about, you know, the qualifications of what a CS should have. If it was stipulated like in the law or in the constitution, then, you know, possibly it would make sense. But if we had former CS Rashida Chesa as CS, then anybody in this country can be CS. I don't think there's any law that would disqualify Ali Hassan Joho from taking up the position of CS. But I recognize that, you know, Kenyans, because Kenya is not homogeneous. Okay. We all cannot agree and have the same view on any one thing. So that's just a Kenyan exercising their democratic right.
And this is the thing, Honorable Ruku said that the process this time is going to be very rigorous, and we are not going to see what we've been able to experience in the past few days, because of course there's a heavy price to pay when it comes to making wrong decisions, quote unquote. I want to bring you into
But on that, I don't trust Parliament, especially the Kenya Kwanza wing of Parliament. Yeah. I feel we are yet to see. Well, we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell if really they will walk the talk, or just it will be another, you know, just rubber stamping kind of thing. Okay, so I hope when they say it's going to be rigorous, then, you know, we are waiting and looking forward to seeing just how they're going to handle this, because some of the people who are taken there for vetting, you know, you even wonder. I remember when they were vetting nominees for ambassadors and high commissioners to represent Kenya. I mean, we had some very weird characters there. So I look forward to just seeing how Parliament is going to handle this and what the recommendations out of the vetting process will be. Okay.
Now, we do want to take a short break here. Of course, there's so many stories that we could have gotten into, but because of time, of course, and also if we did that for you, you wouldn't get these particular newspapers, and the point is for you to be informed, read. All right? We want to take a break here on New Dawn. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at one of the stories making headlines on the dailies, of course, and also what will be forming our basis of a conversation here in the program, and that has to do with the impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Of course, is it a witch hunt? What exactly is happening? That is what we will be getting back to after this particular break. Continue engaging us on our socials at K24 TV across social media platforms. We'll be sampling your feedback as we continue with this particular program this morning. All right?
When it's a Saturday,